So when you first get your template set up, there's a lot of stuff going on. You've got a menu bar over here, and you've got a menu bar up here, and it can be a little bit overwhelming with all of the different things that are on here. While it's also very simple, we're going to walk through, starting at the top, the menu page, and everything that you need to know to get started before you start designing. So, this bar right here where you see page and then the name, this is for all of the different pages that are related to your template. So if I click on services, it's going to show me, and I'm still in the editor, it's going to show me the services page that was created with this template. Same thing with more about me, and so on and so forth. So I think you pretty much get the idea what this is for. This is to be able to quickly navigate between each page that you want to edit. So over here we've got Site, Tools, Code, Help, and Upgrade. So we're going to walk through each of these, and you don't necessarily have to go to each of these to be able to do some of these tasks, but they're also just another place for you to go. So obviously, if you click on Save, what this is going to do is it's going to pull up the Save component of your website, and this one is already listed and has Success Coach because I had already previously saved this page, so it's already been renamed, and all I'm going to do is click Done. Now all of my Now all of my changes have been saved. If we go over here to preview, then what this is going to do is this is what it would look like live. So we're not in the editor anymore, and if you were to go to the web page, this is what your site would actually look like. So it gives you a good idea of what it looks like and any changes that you might need to make. When you're done with preview, you just simply click on back to the editor, and there you go. If you notice, those same features are right over here as far as save, preview, and then of course publish, which I'll show you over here is the next step down. Sorry, I forgot about get feedback. If you click on get feedback, what this does is it gives you a tiny URL that you can actually send to people. You can do it if you copy the link. You can paste this into an email or any other web page, YouTube, whatever you want to do, and people will be able to click on it and they'll be able to see the live view of your website. You can also post this out on Facebook, email, and of course through the shout out, which we'll get into later, but the shout out is an internal system for Wix contacting your people that you have contacts for inside your Wix website. Again, that will be in a later episode, but something to note. Okay, so we're going to get out of the feedback, and we're going to go over here and go back to publish. When I click on publish, what this is going to do is this is going to publish the site, and basically what that means is that the site is now live. Now, the only way that people will be able to see it is to click on this URL here, or the tiny URL that you sent out, or if you have your domain connected, for example www.successcoach.com, then they would be able to see any of the changes that you've made once you've hit publish. Something important to note, that when you hit save, that does not mean that your site is published. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll hit save and then they'll forget to publish and they won't see their changes. So you need to make sure that if you want any changes that you've made, you have to hit publish. When you hit publish first, it will ask if you want to save, and of course you need to save first. So you can actually make changes before you publish them and go back and continue to make edits and all of those kinds of things, and it won't actually send the changes to your live site. So one of those things important to note. So we'll click on done, and when we go back up here, again, clicking on the view published site is the same thing as the preview. Now click on get found on Google. Okay, so when you click on Get Found on Google, what this is going to do is this is going to take you to the Wix SEO Wizard. And the SEO Wizard is how you get found on the search engines. And this wizard is going to help you pick your keywords, help you create a personalized plan, and it helps you to get your website ranked. So you don't need to do this until your website is completely done. I would wait until you've sort of started that process, but I will also in a separate video show you how you can manually do this as well, and you don't have to necessarily use the wizard. The wizard is just simply a nice tool to help speed up the process, but it may not be quite as effective if you were to go in and do things manually. So just keep that in mind, that this is a added benefit to using Wix with their SEO wizard that they have available. So I'm going to close this tab. Okay, so we're going to go back over here to the main menu. We'll click on Site. And if we click on the accessibility, this is kind of self-explanatory. This is just, you can turn this on or off. It makes your site more accessible, and it kind of gives your visitors a user-friendly browsing experience. And of course you can simply turn that on or off here. And so we're going to click on Close. Go back over here to the main menu. So this is when I click on Connect Domain. This is where if you have your own domain name already selected, and maybe you have it on GoDaddy or one of the other domain name providers that are out there, you can connect it to your website here. So this is, you're going to select this if you want to connect your own domain name that you already own. And this is if you don't have a domain name and you want to walk through the process. Wix, you can actually do the domain name purchase through Wix, and it will automatically connect it. And it's a very user-friendly, easy tool to use. So we'll walk through that in a separate episode, but that is one of the areas where you can connect your domain. So keep that in mind as you. And you do not need to do any of this until your website is completely done. If you're designing a new template or a new website, excuse me, you can connect your domain at any time that you want. So we'll click maybe later. We'll go back up here to Site, and we're going to click on Upgrade. So from an upgrade perspective, as you may or may not know, the Wix websites are actually free. And you can design as many as you want for free. And when you do the design for free, what's going to happen is if we click over here and we go to Preview, you're going to see this little bar down here if you have a free website. So people are going to know it was created with Wix.com, and it's sort of their free advertising to allow you to have your free website. Some people don't like this. Some people who want to just create a free website, this is a great tool to use. So if we go back over here and you upgrade, when you do upgrade, again, this is all pretty much self-explanatory from the, you can read all the different features and functionality. Depending on how big of a website you are going to have, you can start with the basic, go to the combo. Obviously this is the most popular with unlimited, and you can always upgrade if you need to go to e-commerce or VIP because your storage limit is you're hitting the storage limit, or there's other components here that you want to add. You can always add that to your you can upgrade to that at any time. So this is where you're going to upgrade your site to a premium plan. So we're going to close that for now. Okay, we're going to go back over here and we'll click on Mobile Editor. Again, this is, pause this. So you can watch this YouTube video that Wix has created on the Mobile Editor. It's a good little, it's a minute and 25 seconds. It's really quick, easy. And we're just going to close that. And so this is the one of the great benefits with Wix is that it automatically allows you to have a mobile version of your website. And so when you look at your website, we're going to go back over here. This is where you can go back to the desktop view. So everything that's in these dotted lines right here mean that they will show up on the mobile editor. and anything outside of that won't be able to show up on the mobile editor. So keep in mind as you're doing your design, the more stuff that you keep in between here, and the great thing about the editor is it will also tell you, hey, you're going outside the lines here, and so this isn't going to show up on smaller screens and mobile phones. So the great thing about the mobile editor is it automatically puts it into a format that is mobilized. So this saves you a ton of time having to have a separate even website or design. It's already done for you. And of course, this stuff is all movable, so if you don't like where it put it here, you can simply move it to a different spot. And different components and things like that can be moved. You can move this whole thing to a different spot. So it's again point and click and drag, all of the great stuff that comes along with having the Wix website. So this is again a great added benefit of having your site done on Wix is the mobile aspect and the mobile editor. It's really easy to use. You can also use these to move things up and down instead of having to do the drag and drop. Again, we'll get into more of the mobile editing in one of the later episodes. So now we're going to go back to the desktop view. Oh, and I forgot to show you here, you can actually disable the mobile view if you like the way your site is designed, and you can even test this out. If you simply go on here and you click that button, you turn it off, go up here, hit publish, you can go out and actually view what your website would look like on your phone and see if you would rather have it mobilized or if you would rather have the desktop version showing up on your mobile phone. So again, go up here, click on make your site mobile friendly. By default it already is. Then you can go into the mobile editor and view the mobile version of it, make your edits, hit publish, and you can see the mobile side of it. So we'll go back to the desktop view. We're going to go back over here to site, and we're going to click on image sharpening. So what this does is this is a tool that you can use to sharpen your images. If you think that some of your images that you've put up here need to be sharpened, meaning if you click on one of these tools, what it's going to do is it's going to go out and it's going to apply it to all of the images. So it may make it brighter, may make it smaller. Again, just another imaging tool that you can use to make some adjustments to some of the images. Most of the images that, if you use the free ones on Wix, you won't need to do that. If there's images that you've uploaded to your website, you may want to use that tool for any images that you may have that you've uploaded. So if we go here to the My Dashboard, what this is going to do is take you to the dashboard within your whole Wix account. So this is the dashboard specifically for this site. So these are all of the different components and apps that are related to your site. We'll go through each of these in a different episode, but this is how you get to this part of your account when you're looking to see how do you adjust your bookings, events, blog, all that kind of stuff. You can also do it through the editor, but this is just an easier way to kind of visualize everything, where you can go into your Wix SEO, your email marketing, inbox, so on and so forth. This also shows you what domain is connected to your site, what plan you're on, and your mailbox, if it's connected or not. These are tips and updates. You can get subscribers. Again, this is another component we'll get into a little bit later, but when you are using subscribers, when you're using subscribers, when you're using this function to be able to get subscribers, then you would click here. Again, roles and permissions, this is kind of an important one, and I'll just show it to you really quickly. This is where you can go in and if you have an admin or other people that you want to be able to go in and make edits, changes, so on and so forth, this is where you would add your contributor. Very self-explanatory, very easy to do, and as the owner, you will always have the role of owner unless you were to transfer that to a separate person in a different account, which I'll go into that later. Certainly possible, but here as the owner, you're going to add contributors and you can set the permissions and what they have the ability to go in and do. So we'll go back to the dashboard here, and there we go. So the other thing that's important to note here is that if you have multiple sites, this is where you're going to click and you can see all the different sites that you've created. So let's say you want to create a new site. Well, you simply click on this. It's going to walk you through the exact same process that you started from the beginning. You'll select your template or a blank one, and boom, you're ready to go. You can also click down here. If I change to select site here, what that's going to do is bring me to, this is the dashboard for this site. So all of these things are specific to, and you can tell by the domain, the image, all of those kinds of things, while it may look the same, but it's actually for the Lux Nail Salon website. So I'm going to go back to the Success Coach, and if I click on Manage and Edit, again, this is just another menu, the kind of more visual aspect of your dashboard, showing you your site name, your address, the plan domain, so on and so forth. You can upgrade here. Some of this stuff is not on the dashboard, which we'll get into some of that stuff a little bit later, but here you can connect your domain, rename your site. You can actually duplicate your site if you want to have two versions of it because you want to make some changes but you're not really sure how they may look, or you like the design that you created but you want to do it in a different color scheme and you want to compare and contrast the two. The transfer of ownership would be if you create a site and you want to, for someone, and you are giving them ownership of it, this is where you would transfer it. And you can delete the site, and then the site history, which this shows you all of the different iterations at different moments in time, and you can actually go back in time if you did a design change that you didn't like and you didn't want to have to go back and delete all of it or change it. You can actually go to the site history, go back and make all of the changes, and I'll show you that over here. So if we go back to our editor, under site history, it's going to pop up and it's going to say continue to site history, and over here you're going to see all of the different iterations that were created at different times. So this one's 234, 231, and then of course when I created the site, this was on the 22nd. So if I click view here, what it's going to do is show me what it looked like at that moment in time, and of course I can scroll down, I can see what it looks like, and this is a live view of the site. This is not in the edited version, this is the live view of it, so you're actually looking at the published version. However, if I click restore, it will take all of the changes that I put up from this point on forward, and it will go back to this original. So this is a great tool if you go through and you make some changes and you don't like the way that it looks after you've made those changes, but you don't want to go back and reverse them. This is a quick and easy way to do that. Let's go back to the editor. So we've got a lot of these open. We can close these at any time. It does not close the editor. Now, if you try to close the editor, like so, it's going to ask you, do you want to leave this site? If you leave and you have not hit save yet, there's a very good possibility that the site changes that you have made will not be saved. So please hit cancel, make sure that you hit save, click done. Now if I close this, now I can actually click leave, and all of my changes are going to be saved. So we're going to go back to the site manager here. Back to manage and edit. I'm going to click on edit my site. It's going to open up a new tab. And while it's building over here, we'll go back down here. And this is another way where you can exit the editor. So when I click exit the editor, it's going to pop up the same message. Make sure that you've saved. When you click on leave, it's going to close. So, two different ways that you can actually leave the site is clicking the X on the tab, as well as using the exit the editor in the site menu. So now we're going to move over to the tools. So all of these that are checked, these are the tools that are actually visible. So if I take the toolbar off, as you notice over on the right hand side of the screen, this little menu, toolbar menu, goes away. This toolbar is what you use for images, if you want to make changes to the size, move things around, so on and so forth. Whenever you do those kinds of things, this comes up and you can move positions and things like that. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but if it's in your way, or if you were to click that, close it, and you can't remember, oh my gosh, where did the toolbar go? I need that. If you go back over here to Tools, click on Toolbar, and boom, it pops up. So the grid lines, these are the dotted lines that I was showing you before. And this is again to help you visualize. This is everything above this line is your header. Everything in between these two lines shows up on all screens. Anything outside of it will not show up on small screens such as mobile phones and maybe some iPads or small monitors. But in where you have a big monitor, everything here will show up as being visible. And if we go to snap to objects, so what this does is, if I take this off, you're not going to notice any change. But what this does is, when I move elements around, see the lines that show up here? That line right there is showing me that it's lining up with the end of the boxes up there where it says Alan Johnson. When I let go of that, it goes away. So it's lining this edge up with this edge here. Same thing if I move this way. So the success box goes all the way out there. And if you see how those striped lines show up there, that means that I'm starting to go outside the lines, and it's letting me know that I'm outside of the lines. Now, because the element isn't fully outside of the line, it's not going to pop up that, but watch when I move out here. Here it is, going outside the lines. So the elements you added are outside the dotted lines and they won't show up on the smaller screens. So that doesn't mean you can't put it in, it just means that it's not going to show up on the smaller screens, and kind of gives you a visual of what exactly that means and how it might get cut off. So click on Got It. I'm going to move this back over here, and this is telling me that it's right in the center of the website. If the pink line goes from the bottom to the top of the screen, it's in the middle. If it's just in the middle of that word success, that means it's lined up with the middle of just success and not the website. Now, it's very subtle, you can't really tell, but this is the snap to grid that helps you line things up accordingly. So, move that back to the middle. And the last thing is rulers. So if you notice up here, your ruler comes up. So now when I move objects, it will give me a visual from a ruler perspective as to where I'm at on the screen, and if I want something to line up at a particular it will show me where things are lining up as it relates to the numbers. Most of the time you don't need the ruler, because if you use the snap to grid or snap to objects, then you really don't need the ruler, which is why it's checked off. So code. So this is really for more of the advanced features that require coding. And Wix can do some really cool things outside of the visual editor, the point and drag and drop. But so we're not going to get into the developer tools, but if you do have an understanding of coding and you want to get into the advanced capabilities, this is where you would turn that on, and then a little box over here is going to show up, and then over here you're going to see a different menu show up for the developer tools. So we are not going to get into the code today, so you can ignore that for the moment. So in the help, this is pretty self-explanatory. You can go to the, if I click on Editor Help Center, what this is going to do is I can type in, let's go background. If I type in that, it's going to bring up some results related to how to make changes to the background based off of changing the body design, transparent page body, so on and so forth. You can click on those, removing the background, and it gives you the tips and tricks on how to do that. So let's close that. The rest of these are pretty much self-explanatory. If you need to go through the terms and the privacy policy, this again is another link to the SEO wizard. Again, another link to connecting your domain, and also step-by-step videos that Wix has also created to help you with getting your website up and going. So you can either use mine or you can use theirs, whichever you prefer. This is the keyboard shortcuts, and these are shortcuts that allow you to get things done quickly. So for example, Control C, Control V is your copy and paste, Control X Control X is your cut, and then Control V is your paste, so on and so forth. A lot of these are the same shortcuts if you're familiar with shortcuts that you use for Word and some of the others. But a lot of these can be super helpful, like Control S to save, Control P to preview instead of having to go up here to the top. Let's close that. And then lastly, again, just another place that you can go to click on for upgrade, and you can compare your plans, get the yearly unlimited, but when you click on upgrade, it's going to take you back to the same place where we were before, about showing you how to upgrade your site to a premium site. So moving over here to this side, so this is where you can zoom out. And what this does is this kind of helps you get a visual of what your site looks like. If you feel like it's too zoomed in and you want a view further out to help kind of organize things, click on this green box here. That's going to bring us back into the zoom. So this is the undo feature, and this is the redo feature. So if, let's say I decide to delete that success and I don't want to have to recreate that because I made a mistake, I accidentally deleted it, all I have to do is click here, click undo, and it comes back. If I decide, actually I like that, I don't want that there, if I click redo, it just does the last feature. So it's the last thing that you did to make the change. It's going to either redo or undo. I'm going to delete this. Now, here's the other cool part is I just made two changes and I reverted back to both of those simply by clicking this twice. If I click redo twice, it's going to remove both of those that I just did, those changes that I made. Click this twice, they both come back. So again, another easy way to revert back to changes that either you liked or don't like, and you want to see what it looks like with the change, without the change, without having to recreate all of your work. As we talked about before, up here is your mobile, save, preview, and publish. So this is the top menu that, and going through all of the different things that you need to know about the top menu. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on here, but at the same time, a lot of this is duplication, just different places for you to get to where you need to go, depending on what it is that you're wanting to get done. So with that, that is the conclusion of this episode of everything you need to know to before you get started editing your website. We will go through the remaining items later on in a different episode. Thank you for watching. Well, everyone, that about does it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we really do appreciate if you would hit that little like button down below, leave us a comment, let us know what else can we help you with on your new website. I'm Matt Cullen with I Decide You and Wix University, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.